Derby, and they did a lot of important work, but just through sheer overwork, there was also a widespread atmosphere of cynicism, indifference, and casual racism. From my very first days there, I'd seen my superiors rolling their eyes as if the public were just irritating extra paperwork, or worse, fundamentally bad people. Perhaps unsurprisingly, as a department our statistics weren't very good at all. With a slight change in the just-get-through-the-day mentality, we could have done so much better. Not that I was much help with my own bumbling. I had joined the police to fight the good fight, but I was beginning to realise that I had been very naive. Now I was crashing hard against real life and the gritty practicalities of the job. When that dog handler had dropped his nignogs line, I hadn't taken some sort of principled stand. I was unsure of myself, and conscious of being the new guy. I didn't want to start calling out cops who'd been on the force for years. These were my new colleagues and superiors, so I kept my mouth shut and got on as best I could. But that didn't feel right either. How did my own silence fit into that self-image as the guy fighting the good fight? I came to the verge of quitting many times, but somehow I knew that just couldn't happen. I had joined the police to prove something to myself. I wasn't going to walk away at the first sign of difficulty. There was always a little voice inside telling me to just grit my teeth, to get through it. It became a point of inner pride that no matter how bad things got, I could take it. But I also knew that I had to do something to improve the situation. "Listen, Alex, do me a favour, mate. I need to get smacked in the face." "You fucking what?" Alex looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Look, I can't keep up here. Take me down to the gym and teach me some boxing. I need to know how to take a punch. Come on, mate, help me out." Alex was one of the other recruits who had joined up with me. He was also a talented boxer who had won silver in the amateurs. I figured this was as good a place to start as any. The gym was basically a converted garage with a few heavy bags, some Sugar Ray Leonard posters, and the smell of stale sweat. But my wish came true. I definitely learned how to take a punch. It was hard going at first, but I was keen and fairly physically fit, and eventually became quite a handy long-range counterpuncher. The boxing definitely helped my confidence in general, but the improvement in my working life was slow. Halfway through my 2-year probation period, it was still the same old story. "Woods, you're with Sergeant Hornby this month. Woods, why don't you go with Sergeant Picknett for a bit?" I didn't need to be a genius to tell that officers were trying to palm me off on one another. I was hanging on by a thread. Eventually, I was transferred to Sergeant James McCarthy, an older Scottish officer who spoke with a gentle Perthshire lilt. It was McCarthy who first saw something in me. He recognised, well before I did, that I actually might have something to bring to the job. Gradually, he helped me learn to play to my strengths. I found my stride in the interview room. I discovered I had a talent for extracting confessions from suspects, even hardened criminals who had faced down much more experienced officers. I could read people. That little flicker of the eye, the way they tapped their foot a little faster when they were getting angry, the little bead of sweat that formed on their forehead as they got nervous or were caught in a lie. Squeezing confessions is a massively useful skill in the police force. If you can convince a criminal to confess at the interview stage, you save everyone the time and expense of a lengthy investigation and trial. Over time, detectives from CID actually started coming up and saying things like, "Bloody hell, are you the one who got a confession out of that bloke? Well done, mate, we've been trying to crack him for years." None of my colleagues in uniform seemed to notice. To them, police work just meant making arrests and banging heads together. But it was the CID guys that I really looked up to. If I had a future on the force, I already knew it lay in that direction. I became Sergeant McCarthy's go-to guy for suspect interviews and witness statements. My detection rate actually grew to become one of the best on the squad. But while it was a relief to finally find a role, I still didn't fit into the brash, abrasive culture at Derby. As my probation period drew to a close, I knew I would squeak through with the bosses.